Noorsign Books presents Ramadan Miracles, Stories of Faith Found in the Ordinary. Recipe for Return. Part 1. The Empty Kitchen. Beirut, Ramadan. Rima's kibbeh hits the wall. Her hands betray her, and the restaurant she built with 20 years of love stands gutted and silent. But in the ruins of her old life, a fierce hunger awakens, not for food, but for her own name on a door. And the first lesson of this holy month is about to teach her that some recipes can't be found in a notebook, only in the heart. The kibbeh hit the wall so hard the copper pan rang like a bell. Oil splattered, meat slid down the tiles in a greasy smear, and Rima knew with a sick twist in her stomach that it was wrong again. Not just the kibbeh, her. She stood in the middle of the gutted restaurant at 4 a.m, chest heaving, fists clenched. The first day of Ramadan waited outside like a verdict, the adhan for fudge minutes away. Her fast would begin on a mouth that still tasted of failure. She tore off a piece of kibbeh from the pan, ignoring the burn of hot oil. She chewed. Bitter, tough, angry. It tasted like her. Rima spat into the sink. Her reflection in the dock window watched her, hollow-eyed. For 2 years she had cooked with this taste in her hands. For 2 years, no matter the recipe, no matter the technique, every dish carried it. She pressed her palms flat on the old counter, the wood smooth from 20 years of service. Beneath her fingers, the familiar loose tile. Third from the left, crescent-shaped chip. The kitchen remembered her, even if the food did not. Moonlight washed the stripped space. No tables, no chairs, no stove. Just blue and cream ottoman tiles on the floor, and 20 years of ghosts in the plaster. I will reopen this kitchen. The thought rose again, stubborn as dough. She'd been fighting it for days. Tonight it came like a command. Rima straightened, wiped her hands on her apron. The smell of burned kibbeh clung to her. Enough, she muttered. If the food wants a war, it chose the wrong woman. Outside, the first faint call to prayer lifted through the Hammer Straits. Inside, Rima reached for the light switch. The past snapped into focus. 2 nights earlier, she had stood in the same doorway for the first time in years. Then, the restaurant was silent, not ruined, just emptied. The chairs gone, the copper pots gone, the handwritten menu board gone. Even the 6-burner stove that had anchored her life had been ripped up, leaving 4 black holes in the tile like missing teeth. Everything was gone, but the smell remained. Rima stood in the dark, key in hand, and breathed in 20 years. Old oil in the walls, 10,000 onions meeting hot olive oil, cumin, cinnamon, cardamom rising from heavy pots, lentils simmering until they forgot they'd once been hard. Under it all, like a secret, warm flatbread, bright tomatoes, crushed garlic, lemon. Her feet found the worn tile at the kitchen threshold, the spot she'd stood on through war scares, power cuts, and crowded Ramadans. Her hand slid along the counter to the loose tile at the base. Her fingers brushed the bare patch of wall where once gold calligraphy had hung. And let them pardon and overlook. She snatched her hand back. That verse had watched her for 20 years, watched her fight with Samir over menu changes, watched her sit at the office desk, hands cold, while he said, "I need my own name." Watched her sign the divorce papers, watched him sell the restaurant, her restaurant, to a shawarma chain that didn't even bake its own bread. Samir had trained at Le Cordon Bleu. His diploma hung in his office, framed, prominent, the proof of a skill the kitchen never seemed to validate. He knew the precise temperature for every protein, the chemistry of every sauce, but he had never, not once in 20 years, made the lentil soup taste the way his mother made it, and worse, he never understood why. The kitchen recognized Rima's hands, not his. The customers praised the soul of the food, and the soul was hers. He'd said it at the end. I can't be the manager of your legacy anymore. And she'd understood, too late, that he meant it as an accusation. Later, in her new apartment, she'd scrapped that verse off a wooden plaque with a spatula. Letter by letter, gold flakes in the sink like dead stars. And still somehow it followed her. Now, in the empty space, the words echoed in her chest like an accusation she refused to answer. She told herself she'd just come to look, that when Noor had shown her the listing, hopeful eyes, careful voice, she only wanted to see how badly they'd ruined it. But standing there, wrapped in the memory of onions and faith and Layla's quiet command of the stove, something fierce and hungry had woken. Not hope, she was too tired for hope. Ownership. I will cook here again, on my terms. The thought settled in her bones.
Suhoor was a lonely ritual now. Rima's apartment stood 15 minutes uphill from Hamra, a small space with thin walls and a view of laundry lines. After the empty restaurant, it felt like a toy kitchen. 2 burners, a counter barely wide enough for a cutting board, no room for more than one person to stand at the stove. She'd left the old life with 2 suitcases and a box of tools, her copper serving spoon, the Paris knife, Noor's lopsided clay measuring spoons, and the cutting board Sitt Layla had carved for her wedding. Feed them well, ya binti. She ran her finger over the words on the back. Feed who? She murmured. Myself? Suhoor was 3 dates, a piece of bread, and water. She ate standing, barely tasting. Her body knew the routine. Her heart did not join. She whispered the intention for fasting, lips moving through words she'd said since childhood. Her tongue knew them. Her chest felt numb. On the counter, her phone buzzed. A message from Noor. Mama, did you go? To the restaurant? Rima stared at the glowing screen. Typed yes. Erased it. Typed no. Erased that too. She finally sent nothing at all. The adhan for Fajr floated faintly through the window. She prayed in the cramped living room, movements precise, mind scattered, the image of the empty kitchen superimposed over every sajda. Later, dressed in a borrowed catering apron, she stood in a stranger's bright Verdun kitchen, making fattoush for 200. Fadi, the owner, drifted past, eyes on his phone. Perfect, Rima, as always. The wealthy hostess tasted the salad, turned to Fadi. You've outdone yourself. This is extraordinary. Rima wiped her hands on a towel and looked away. Her work, his praise. Her skill, their names. All day, while she chopped and stirred and sent out trays no one would associate with her, the empty restaurant tugged at her like a magnet. By Maghrib, when the city broke its fast around her in 1,000 small acts of mercy, dates passed between strangers on buses, plastic cups of juice shared in traffic, Rima walked home faster. She wasn't hungry, not for food. She was hungry for her own name on a door.
The next evening, Noor brought cock and clumsy hummus to Rima's apartment. She sat at the tiny table, sleeves pushed up, eyes searching her mother's face. You went, didn't you? Rima tore the sesame bread ring. The place is stripped. But the bones are there, Noor said quickly. The tiles, the counter. The counter, Rima repeated, and her voice softened without her permission. Noor leaned in. Mama, will you take it? Rima chewed in silence. The hummus was too thick, the garlic shy. It tasted like effort, not instinct. Finally she said, I'm going to reopen the kitchen. The words hung between them. Noor's eyes filled instantly. She caught her lower lip between her teeth, trying to stop it from trembling. Really? Not as Matbach Layla, Rima added, jaw tightening. He can keep that name. I'll choose another. But I will cook there. I will feed this neighborhood again, and no one will take it from me. Noor reached across the table and gripped her mother's flour-scarred hand. I've been thinking about Teta's recipes, Rima said. There are things I might have missed, proportions, techniques. Noor was quiet for a moment. Maybe you should ask her. The thought landed heavy. AUB Medical Center, the 4th floor, the smell of antiseptic losing a quiet battle with Jasmine. Rima looked away. Layla had chosen her, once, called her daughter when her own mother refused to attend the wedding, taken her hands on that first chaotic Ramadan in the old kitchen and said, "You were made for this." Now Layla lay in a hospital bed, and Rima hadn't asked for a single recipe. She looked at her hands, the hands that knew the dough, the pan, the knife. Tomorrow she would go. She swallowed the last of the bread. "I'll visit her," she said, and she meant it.
The fourth floor of AUB Medical smelled of disinfectant and wilted flowers. It was the third time Rima had come that week. She came every other day now, sometimes with food, sometimes just to sit. In Layla's small room, the strongest scent was jasmine. Noor had brought it, stubbornly refreshing the vase every other day. The white blossoms glowed against the hospital white. Layla lay propped against pillows, thinner each visit. Her hair, somehow, was still in its neat bun. Her eyes, when they found Rima, were sharp as ever. "Ya binti," she breathed, "you came." "I always come." Rima set a container of muhallabiya on the bedside table, orange blossom, crushed pistachios, just as Layla had once taught her. "You came with heavy shoulders," Layla added. "Sit, they will break if you don't." Rima sat, fingers knotting in her lap. Words clogged her throat. She talked about the empty restaurant instead, the tiles, the counter, the ghost smell of cumin in the walls. Layla listened like she always listened, completely. "And the food?" Layla asked at last. Rima hesitated, then the truth slipped out. "It's not right. I make the dishes in Noor's kitchen. Same ingredients, same proportions, same technique. But it's off. It looks correct. Anyone else would say it's good. But I know." Layla studied her. "You think my notebook will fix it?" Rima's cheeks burned. "I didn't come to ask for that." "I know why you came." Layla's papery hand closed over hers with surprising certainty. "The notebook is yours. It always was. You don't have to ask." Relief surged, then halted at Layla's next whisper. "With a condition." Rima's fingers tensed. "What condition, Sitt?" "Forgive him." The air left Rima's lungs. "Not for him," Layla said calmly. "For yourself, for your hands." Rima snatched her hand back as if burned. "You want me to forgive the man who took the lease, the name, the story, who told our son I was nothing without his family?" "Yes." "Why?" Her voice cracked. "Why should I?" "Because anger is expensive," Layla murmured. "You've been paying for 2 years. You have nothing left." Rima stood abruptly. "You ask too much." She left the muhallabiya untouched on the table and walked out, eyes dry, hands shaking with fury. Downstairs, the city prepared to break its fast, dates in palms, soup on stoves, bread being torn and shared. Rima walked into all that with fists clenched. She did not look back. That night, in the silence before Fajr, Rima stared at her ceiling and replayed Layla's words. "Your hands have been closed for 2 years." She turned onto her side, onto her back, onto her other side. Sleep evaded her like a debt collector. Images rose unbidden. Samir's office, his framed French diploma, reviewers praising Layla's soul and forgetting his face tight and tired, saying, "I can't be the manager of your legacy anymore." Legacy. He had taken the lease, the name, the brand. But whose legacy was it? By sunrise, a decision had formed, hard and bright as burnt sugar. She would reopen the kitchen. She would cook every dish from memory. She would prove, to herself, to Samir, to the city, that the food had always been hers, with or without a notebook, with or without forgiveness. Her phone buzzed. A message from Mona. Heard a rumor about a certain stubborn woman and a certain empty restaurant. Coffee? Rima smiled despite herself. "Later," she typed. I have work to do." She rose, made wudu, stood on her old prayer rug. Her lips recited Al-Fatiha. Her heart remained in a dark kitchen full of ghosts. Ramadan had begun. So had the war Rima was about to wage with her own hands.
You've been listening to Ramadan Miracles, a Noorsign Books original. Rima's hands are still clenched, her heart still closed, but the kitchen remembers her. And somewhere in the quiet before Fajr, the first seeds of a return are being planted, not to the past, but to herself. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next miracle. Visit noorsignbooks.com to join our community and get the full collection. Jazakumullah khairan.